In 1791, the American government adopted the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia be necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Due to this amendment, guns have become ingrained into the culture and society of the United States of America. However, during the last few decades, the right to own guns has deeply divided American citizens and become an extremely controversial issue. This is mainly because of the horrific mass shootings, such as Columbine High School, Sandy Hook Elementary School, and Aurora, Colorado shootings. The point of my speech today is to inform you about the views on gun laws in America. I have been a hunter since I passed my hunter safety course when I was 10 years old, and have been around guns long before that. As a result of this and the extensive amount of time I have spent researching this topic for other classes, I feel that I can effectively inform you on the issue of gun control. Gun control is relevant to you because while you may not personally own a gun, you most likely know someone that does. There are two major viewpoints or sides to the gun control debate. The first side believes that there should be stricter gun control laws in the United States. However, on the other hand, the second side believes that the laws that are currently in place for gun control go far enough and any more will infringe on their constitutional rights as an American citizen to own guns. As a result of how ingrained guns are into American society, the debate on gun control is widely held as a very controversial issue with little room for compromise on either side of the issue. The advocates for gun control believe that guns need to be regulated much more strictly than they currently are in the United States. First of all, gun control advocates argue that stricter gun control laws would reduce gun deaths. Gun control advocates argue this because stricter laws mean fewer guns, and fewer guns would mean fewer gun deaths. According to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which is the nation's top public health institute, the fourth leading cause of violent death in the United States during 2012 was suicide with a firearm, at 22,018 deaths. The CDC also states that homicide with a firearm was the fifth leading cause of violent deaths in 2015, with a total of 12,979 murders committed with a gun. With stricter gun control laws, gun control advocates hope to reduce gun-related homicides, suicides, and unintentional gun deaths, which for the year of 2014, the CDC reports that 10.5 people out of every 100,000 people in the United States died by a gun for a total of 33,559 deaths. Another major viewpoint behind gun control advocates' fight for stricter gun laws is that the Second Amendment doesn't translate to an unlimited right to own guns. This can mean many different things, and one such factor to this belief is that people can't keep any type of weapon in any type of manner for whatever purpose they desire. Another part of this idea is that it doesn't mean anyone can own a gun. What gun control advocates mean by this is that they don't believe that people with histories of violent crimes or people that are unfit to handle a gun, such as people with certain types of mental illnesses, should be allowed to own a gun for society's safety and their own. A third major component to this idea is that people also shouldn't be able to bring weapons anywhere they want. This includes areas such as private businesses, where the owners have a right to decide to allow firearms or not, government buildings and areas, or schools. In the 2008 Supreme Court case of the District of Columbia et al. Versus Heller, this viewpoint was upheld. During the Supreme Court case, Supreme Court Justice Anton Scalia said that, like most rights, the right secured by the Second Amendment is not unlimited. And ultimately, because of the high ranking of gun-related violent deaths and the different interpretations of the Second Amendment, gun control advocates hope to see stricter gun control laws come into effect in the United States. The opponents of gun control laws believe that the laws in place already regulate guns and their uses enough, and that any further laws could infringe on their Second Amendment rights, or could lead to even stricter laws that would infringe upon these rights. One of the main points that gun control opponents use to argue against gun control is that gun control won't deter crime, but that gun owners will. The key point behind this idea is that no matter what laws are passed, criminals will still break the law. However, criminals will be deterred by the fear of retaliation from a potential victim who can protect themselves with a gun. An example of this is provided by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime 2013 study, Global Study on Homicide. It explains that while Mexico has some of the strictest gun laws in the world, it had 9.97 homicides with guns for every 100,000 people in 2012, and compared to the United States, which had 2.97 homicides with guns for every 100,000 people in 2012, and yet gun laws that weren't as strict. Another major point to this idea is that stricter gun laws will hurt law-abiding citizens that own guns, but not criminals. This is because gun control opponents believe that criminals will always find a way to legally obtain firearms. Gun control advocates also argue against stricter gun laws because they believe that they will infringe upon the Second Amendment rights that they have as American citizens. One considerable worry of gun control opponents is that the further gun control laws will eventually lead to even stricter gun control laws. And their thought is that if we won't stop here, where will we stop with gun control laws? Gun control opponents also think that gun control laws will infringe on their rights by not allowing them to defend themselves or their families. They fear that with stricter laws, they would instead have to rely on the police to defend them. And this is seen as a problem because police can't respond instantly to a crime and can't always be contacted to help when there is a crime. Another way that gun control opponents see this would be similar to fire extinguishers and firefighters. For example, it would be like taking away fire extinguishers. So instead of people being able to take care of the fire on their own, they have to wait until firefighters arrive to stop the fire. Due to the ineffective gun control laws in other countries, beliefs that gun control laws will only affect law-abiding gun owners, and the belief that further laws will only infringe on their rights, gun control opponents oppose any further laws on gun control. Ultimately, the debate on gun control comes down to whether or not you believe that guns should be regulated more strictly, or if you think that the current laws already regulate guns enough. For example, advocates want to pass further laws because they believe it will make their communities a much safer place. On the other hand, opponents to gun control laws believe that the laws won't actually make their communities safer, but will make it harder for gun control or gun owners to defend themselves. In the end, guns have been a major part of American society since the birth of our nation during the Revolutionary War. And shortly after that, the protection of gun owner rights have been kept safe with the adoption of the Second Amendment. However, certain aspects of this amendment have come into question, which has ignited a debate between people that believe they can make their community safer and people that don't want to lose their right to gun ownership.